So freezing is really good for saving on CPU processing. If you're going to freeze tracks, it's going to take up a lot of hard drive space. If I want to freeze a track here because my computer can't keep up with the processing, I can right-click on this, configure track header, and you can open the freeze option here. Then when you click freeze here, to make sure that the freezing happens on Logic, you have to press spacebar. So it's going to freeze. And so it runs the processing through the whole track. So if you only wanted to do a small portion of the track, I recommend duplicating the track. And now the track is frozen. I can't edit it at all. Okay, now there's another important point here, and it is about what freeze mode you're using. Now, if you use source only, you will be able to add plugins and edit plugins in there. If you use pre-fader mode, you won't be able to edit any of the plugins. So another important point about freezing is that it can take up a lot of CPU space. So I recommend if you have a track like this, for example, where the tracks are fairly spaced out and you wanna freeze them, I recommend first of all duplicating the track. Let's unfreeze this and then drag this to another. So that was a lot of empty space there. And then I would freeze this track by itself. So let's have a look at our project folder and see how much space our two frozen tracks have taken. Okay, so my first track, if you remember that I froze, that had the two audio files in the same channel, and that took 24.1 MB. When I separated the channels, this only took 9.6. Let's try to freeze this track by itself, and let's see how much space that takes up. So yeah, the two tracks together take up 9.6 MB each. And that's even less than the 24.1 if you add them up together. That comes up to about 19.2 MB just adding these two. And 24.1 if you do just one singular track, because it's freezing all this empty space as well. So keep that in mind when you're freezing tracks. Freeze can convert something to a new audio file. It does absorb all of the changes that are made. I'm going to freeze this track. And basically, it's going to freeze all the plugins and everything that's happening over there, and any of the edits that I've made with the flex markers or anything like that. And then I press flatten, and I've got all of that EQ and compression settings imprinted onto the audio files. And your processing is gone. So I want to show you a cool little trick that I learned about creating a customized key command, and we're going to do it for the freeze function. I'm not sure how to do it in Windows, but here's how you do it in a Mac. You go to System Preferences, then you go to Keyboard, then you go to Shortcuts, and then under App Shortcuts, you can do what's called Add, and you can select Ableton, and you can add a key command shortcut for a function that's commonly used. So in the case of freezing, I would go Edit, and then you got to put a hyphen, an arrow key, and then you got to say freeze and track. Now you have to make the F capital and the T capital because that's the exact name of that key command on Ableton. So if you go to Ableton and you go here, Edit Freeze Track, it's with capital F and capital T. So then over here, you can just type in your key command, and mine is actually Command Option comma. Once you set that in, it will create a key command almost instantaneously over here. See, so it's Option Command comma for me. And then similarly, I would set a key command for flatten. So you can add another one, edit, same thing, edit, hyphen, arrow, flatten. And then for that key command, I type in Command Option full stop. So let's try to freeze this, for example. I press Command Option comma, and it's freezing the arrangement. And then I can press Command Option full stop to flatten. And I've got a new audio file here. Show in browser. That's my new frozen audio file, okay? So if you're having a lot of issues with the CPU processing over here on this side, if your computer is struggling to keep up with the processing, it's really good to use the freeze function. That will help you to decrease the load on your processing.